Welcome to ADRA Insider, where we share insights into our work and the people behind the work that we do. Today's episode is very special because we are welcoming our colleague Artem Dikhtiaruk from within Ukraine. He is the program manager for ADRA Ukraine, and we are so touched that he has taken time from his many demands and time from the crisis to come and be with us and share with us what is going on in Ukraine and the work that ADRA is doing. Artem, thank you so much for taking time to come and be with us and to share with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak up from this part of the world.
So Artem, you are the programs director at ADRA Ukraine, yes?
That's correct.
Okay, so that sounds like a very, very busy and important position, but we'll unpack a little bit later what that entails. Before we launch into that, I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up working at ADRA? How long have you been at ADRA? And what does working at ADRA mean to you?
Well, for me, ADRA is my life, and I'm open for what God uses me for or where God applies me. I was a child of the family of ministers that dedicated their life where they served for the church and also the students in the university, not far from Kiev. And this place actually now in the heart of the military actions right now, this campus. But then when I finished this school and then a bachelor's degree, I was choosing my career, and there were opportunities to go for the master's with Andrews, and there was international development, So for me, it sounded very similar to what I was always dreaming to do. And by that time, there was a new director of ADRA Ukraine who just was appointed in 2012. They started like new phase or new era of ADRA with the new team, with the new maybe strategy. And I was invited to be one of those. So that's how it started. So for me, ADRA is part of my life. It is part of my leisure and pleasure and work and weekends and holidays and wherever God will bring me tomorrow, I don't know, but I will be always thankful to ADRA, for all of what we did together,
So it's like it's part of your DNA.
Yes, at the moment,
breathing,
yes.
eating, drinking, ADRA. Can you tell us a little bit about what ADRA Ukraine is doing right now? I hear many different things, and I haven't sat down and compiled them all, but it sounds like a lot, which is blowing me away because, like I said, you guys are living through it yourselves. As you mentioned earlier, you're now in the same shoes as the people that you're helping. And so to be living it and yet also be helping, can you just tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We are just trying to respond to the situation and to provide access to the basic needs of the most vulnerable. The highest needs are evacuation of people or bringing them to the safer sites or cities and villages closer to the western borders, and ideally to let them cross the border with the country. And it's, from one hand, it's a bit depressive because you can see that your nation is, the population, demography is just dropping, because so many women and girls, they are leaving this country, and we don't know when they will come back, and it becomes like man country. You go out and you see more and more men just around. Yes, evacuation is one of the crucial activity right now, and the church also, and I keep telling this and not forgetting myself and telling to others on all the occasions that the church is doing so much and the volunteers are doing so much and civil society is so active. And there are so many people that would never be on the cameras because some of them were killed. And even myself being when I was on the evacuation crew, I saw so many humanitarian cars being also just with the shelling, and they were stopped on the side of the road. You can always be sure that this was humanitarian truck, humanitarian aid, and some of those people didn't reach, some of those humanitarian convoys didn't reach destination, and it was terrible. But still, people knowing those risks, they continue to do this. That's why I keep telling that volunteers and civil society is very active, and ADRA is also active because we support these activities, and we also hire the drivers ourselves, and also part of our even friends and even family members, because they know of us, they know of ADRA, they call us and they say, we know about the need, we want to be there also, we want to also take people out, we want to evacuate, we want to drive. So evacuation is one, the food, water, hygiene, and shelter, because people then, when they are moved, they need to stay somewhere and get something, like, because they usually leave with the one bag of some documents if they are lucky, because many of those even don't take this back. They have shelling, they run away, and sometimes their house is bombed or so, or they are taken to the convoy, and this convoy takes them out, and they think that maybe in 1 week they will come back, because most likely the shelling is not forever, and hopefully it will stop and it will end and the conflict will end. But usually the history tells us, and also my experience and experience of other people tells that for some of those it is, if not forever, but for years, not to come back to their home places. For me, it's also like very heartbreaking to see the videos and photos from the news when I managed to, like, for a couple of seconds to go there and check and see the streets where you were walking, 1 year ago or a couple of months ago, and now they are just like from some American movies after there is smoke around, no people, and then everything is broken, and the shops are also broken, and the glass is outside, and it's burning. You can still see the smoke out from those houses, and unfortunately also the bodies of the people that are not taken out. They are just there, they are just there, and it's in the middle of Europe, not in the very very middle, but it's in the Europe. You would never tell that it would happen, but it happened. So yeah, that's what we are doing right now. The most basic needs, access to the basic needs, and support the beneficiaries, and also we are doing the cash for them. So we are giving the cash to those people, to the civilians, and also we are supporting them with psychosocial assistance where possible.
Artem, are you willing to share with us a little bit about your own evacuation from your home? What was the situation like prior to leaving, and what led you to decide ultimately to evacuate?
When I woke up in the first day of the war, I saw the massive, like tremendous traffic, jam. So I talked to myself and to my parents and to my brother and my family, and we understand that now that became like 2-3 kilometers line for the gas station. People started to fill their cars because they don't know when they will fill it again, tank the car again. And we decided we will not, because on the media everywhere they started to tell that only the military detachments and military fields are bombed, so no civilians. So we were all like a bit patient. We said, well, it's not of course good, it's not good, but at least they are not targeting the residential blocks, and we stayed there. And it was Thursday. Our country director came and to the office, and we talked to each other. We discussed how we plan also the response. We have allocated some funds already to the conference. To distribute the support to them and to the beneficiaries and do the evacuation. And we went out, and me and my brother, and we already saw the tanks around. So it was too dangerous to move. But we still had a hope that because it's residential block, then maybe tanks are still to reach or target the military compounds, so there is no danger for the civilians. And it became Friday, so we decided, okay, it's Sabbath, we don't want to break Sabbath, we will maybe go Saturday evening or Sunday morning. And then it became completely impossible to leave it because the shelling increased, and it was terrible, like outside, like and very scary also outside, especially for the girls and for my mother. My mother was also some friends that know me, they were writing me the messages, and they said, is your mother okay? Because she was sharing very stressful messages like help us, take us out. And I didn't know that she was doing this, you know. She was just next to me and she was writing all these messages. And there was still internet and electricity. I was on some of the calls, maybe it was even network call, but my father, he said, no, we need to go. We really need to go. If even because it's shelling, but it can be worse. And it became worse. And it was so smart that they moved. But I couldn't let myself go because it would mean that I will be maybe 24 hours without connection. Because once I leave Wi-Fi in the cars, the internet started not to work, the 4G and 3G. So I didn't, I was not able to afford myself to be not on the internet because of the work, and I stayed there. And once I stayed there, I realized that it's getting worse and worse, worse and worse. And suddenly we realized that the blocks where we are and the whole city, it is absolutely occupied. So it is cut from the country. It is from the north. It is cut. So we are in the inside there. And then one of the days, it just I was on the general coordination meeting, OCHA, and listening to the situation and putting down the needs of the different clusters. And suddenly everything like went down in terms of the electricity. So I thought maybe they just switch it off, but I realized that it never returned. So since that time and until now, there is no electricity. So the gas, water stopped also within like maybe a few hours. And then still there was some food, there was still some savings, you know, like from the resources that there were inside the house. And then it turned to the situation when the soldiers started to walk inside the block, and they said that you need to go in the basement, and they put every people from the block, from the residential block, in the one place and tell, go down. We will not touch you. Don't worry. We will not harm you. Soldier said, we will not harm you, but go down and don't use your phone. And those who use their phones, they just destroy the phone. They just threw it away, threw it down. So
Did the
they
soldiers stay in the basement with the people, with you
no,
guys?
no, they just wanted to assess the situation around, and that's why they went on the upper floors. Were watching from the windows where are
Oh.
what's the situation, but they didn't want that locals report on them, so they said go down to the basement. So it turned up to the situation when it's no longer possible to, you know, to be receiving any food or water, and all the resources, just people run out of this. And that's how we ended up when we were just trying to get out from there. So we were even approaching those soldiers and asking them how we can go out from this place. And they said, you can go this way, for example, or you can go this way, and we will not touch you. If somebody will kill you, it's not us, it's Ukrainian army. Don't accuse us. We will not. They say we will not shoot you. You can go. But and in the meantime, you can hear the shelling somewhere on the background. And I was by that time already 6 days without electricity, but I had my power banks fully charged, and my computer also had battery, and I could charge from the computer. So I was still those 4 or 5 days somehow available because I was saving the battery and going just from the moment to moment to the catch internet and talk to the people. I was talking also to Avish from ADRA Canada to tell him about the needs, about the situation. I said that situation here is not the same as you can read in the news. It's even worse somewhere. And so I had my internet, but I could see that it is going down battery, and maybe tomorrow I will be completely out of this world. I mean, in terms of the access. And there was one neighbor, and he said, "So come in. We are also going." And we came. We sat in his car. I locked the doors of the apartment, and I didn't know that if I would see it again or not. I sat down to this car, and we went out of this place, and we didn't know if we will survive because this road was under the sniper target. You know, they were watching this. They were in the forest, and they were watching this the movements of the cars. So we had to go very fast, but we couldn't go very fast because Russian soldiers told us, if you are the evacuation crew, you need to go very slow, 15 kilometers speed per hour, and you need to put the windows down so we see that you are not soldiers, you are civilians,
Wow.
and put the white things on the so you are peaceful, so it means that if you want to obey and listen to them, you have to be very slow, but it means that you are the so easy reachable target, because you are so slow, the window is down, and you are moving like very far, very slow over here. But thanks God, we managed to get out from this block and this street. We managed to go as far as 5 minutes drive, and then there was terrible traffic. And when I stood in this traffic, there were still soldiers going around, the still burning homes around, the smoke, the soldiers going here and there and checking the cars, what is inside. But the traffic, the jam just stopped. The cars just stopped. They didn't even move like slow. They just stopped. And I stood for a while. I had my ADRA jacket here, and I had ADRA ID card here, because I didn't know. I thought to myself, if something happens, so at least people would know that who am I and whom to report to, at least to document this. And I had this ID with me, and I started to go on the street because maybe the mines could be aside the street, aside the road. So I was walking on the road along this line, and I ended up that there was after the line of the cars, there was a big crowd of people, around 7,000 of civilians, just elderly, like with the kids, and it was so cold and it was not sunny at all that day, and they were waiting for the buses to take them out because it was announced. There was no electricity, no TV, but they were announcing with these rupors, with this gramophones, megaphone, that there is evacuation. There is evacuation. You need to show up at 10 o'clock to the mayor office, to the city administration. So all people who managed, they came with their bags, and it reminded me of Second World War. People are just going with the bags, all they have, all they managed to grab on their shoulders. The kids, they are just going, and they're staying there on this crowded place, and it's cold. And when I was there, it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I figure out that many people are already 5 hours outside. No toilets, no latrines, no water, no food. And when I was with my ADRA jacket, they came to me and they thought that I am the information manager, or I am the government, or I am some volunteer, and say, what should we do? What should we do? Tell us. But they were not aggressive. They were just, I said, how long are you here? I said, did you eat? Did you have water? Have you had water? And they said, no, but we don't need this. We don't need this now. We want to be out. We want to be out. And all what was happening, that the rep from the mayor office was going with this megaphone and telling that 50 buses, big buses, are stuck on the checkpoint around 50 kilometers away from here, and the soldiers doesn't let it through. But maybe in 1 hour or so they let it through, so they will come. And it's already 3 o'clock, and it's getting dark at 6 o'clock or 5:30, and it's 3 o'clock, and it means that at 4:30 they will only come these buses. And during the dark time, maybe this will not happen. And that people, they are just, like I said, they are helpless. They don't know where to go. Who is the right source of information? So those cars started to turn back and just go to the other zone, and just one by one. And I was in one of those cars, and we didn't know what will happen, but we were passing different other cars of civilians that were destroyed, and people inside. So we were overcoming those cars, we were overcoming the collapsed bridges, and suddenly, and the speed was very slow because many cars, one by one were just going. And we were afraid also because we are a potential target, and it's cold because the windows are down, so you cannot. And suddenly it's already dark, and we are only 10 kilometers away from my home, from where we escaped. So it's not that far we managed to run away. And now we start to approach the Russian checkpoints, and they check our documents, bags. Thanks God they were not rude, they were not very angry, they were just peaceful, they were checking documents, and they let us go out. and through the around 8 or 10 checkpoints, we reached to the place which was already capital of Ukraine. Inside the Kiev, it's safe because they didn't manage yet to get inside the city. But this is the target for the missiles and the rockets, you know. So you are in Kiev, but you are not longer in this place where the Russians are physically, but you are still in the city which is targeted, you know. So we started to move to the other road, and that road was full of checkpoints, bags with the sand and with the cement, and you need to go like this, you know, to overcome those blocks. And then you just go with this road, and there are no gas stations, no buses, no toilets, but somehow we just run away and managed to go to the safe place. But I have also not a very pleasant story when my friend, who was studying with me in my university, he called me on March 5, and he said, Artem, are you safe? I said, well, you're lucky to catch me because I usually without internet and without connection. And he said, I am in the west of Ukraine because I was on business trip, he tells me. Where are you now? I said, I am in Bucha, in Hostomel. And he said, oh my God, it's dangerous there, and my parents are there. I said, yeah, it's very dangerous here. Don't come here. On March 10th, he calls me again, and he tells me, Artem, well, if you would have any volunteer job for me in west of Ukraine, I can help you because I don't rush anywhere anymore. I said, why? What happened? He said, my father was killed. They shot him. They shot him, and he was in the car. And my mother is alive, but she's in the hospital because her shoulder is like, it has the bullet. It just came through the whole body, but she is alive. But the father is not alive. And he is calling me, this Roman. Today he was helping us with the distribution of the goods in the Mukachevo warehouse. And he is behaving very strong, you know. You cannot read from his voice that he lost his father last week.
The people who are going through stuff like this, that they're reaching out to say, what can I do to help, is... I have no words.
You can see that throughout all the circumstances, you can see the person, the very beautiful soul, you know, the very beautiful heart inside, because this guy who lost his father and his mother, he doesn't know what is with her, if she would survive or if she would recover or not. And he tells me like, what I can do for you. And I ask him, how much can we pay you? What is your expectation? He said, what are you talking about? This is the time when we are all serving each other, you know, we are not talking about the funds. So this really inspired. It makes me think that, you know, this nation is, you know, it's very strong inside, and despite the stronger other sides and other challenges and problems, you know, somehow there is power that comes up from the God, from everywhere, and it gives you the source, gives you the also the power to continue to move forward, you know, to survive, to live on, because the God, maybe somebody else didn't survive, but you survived. So maybe there is God plans on you. There is some plan for you to do something else for other people.
So how about you, Artem? How are you holding up, and how's your family, and where are you finding your strength to get through all of this?
I'm very glad that my mother and my aunts and niece, they are all alive and they are in the safe place. And I appreciate all those European countries and and other countries around the world that offer the shelter, you know, and offer the protection for those people. So at least the men around the country of Ukraine, the Ukrainian men, they are not worried about their grandmothers, their mothers, their wives, their daughters, sisters. So this is the good thing. And also for myself, I am like, at least I can a bit focus on something else. And this something else is to, you know, evaluate situation and say, okay, you are alive, you have the power, you have the strength, and so what you can do now? You don't go to take arm or some, you know, gun. You are not for this, so you are to do something good for others. And that's what really motivates and makes people happy, and myself also makes me happy and enthusiastic, and it gives me power to wake up. When I was staying in the apartment, the bomb shelter, it doesn't have internet because it's the underground, but I had to be still online, and I was going up, and I was on the network calls, for example, or on some calls
Yeah, I
with ADRA
remember.
Europe, with the emergency response team. But I understood that if I don't attend this meeting now, that maybe I will not at least pass the information about the needs, and maybe there would be no that the project would not come that can help that person or that person. And also I need to keep my staff informed and also be informed that they are safe, at least. So I had to be on internet for some time, and when I heard bombing, I know that it's not smart, and God doesn't want us to risk that. It's not that you go in the in the fire and you say no, God will save me. You don't go for fire. You just be smarter. But in this case, I had no choice, because that there was this call and there was opportunity for me to be on this call. And I said to myself, well, if this would happen, that now it's the end, it's the end. But I felt somewhere inside that it will not affect me. And I have a video on my phone when I just recorded when I was on the call on the computer, and there was such a shelling outside. But I was peaceful. I had the feeling that God is sending His angels. And there is something like umbrella, that is
Wow.
protecting you. I could feel this, and people that were next to me, they were telling me, Artem, run right now. No, you don't. Not a single job, not even this your humanitarian work. It doesn't work. It is not worth your life. Please, now you need to survive. Please, we are going to the bomb shelter. And I said, listen, I have to stay here for this call. And if you want to survive, come to me, next to me, because I'm sure that at least a couple meters around me, there is such a big shell. There is such a big umbrella that protects me. And I said, do you want a safe place? It is somewhere next to me, because I know that God sends His angels. You cannot see this, I told to her. You cannot see those angels, but I assure you that there are so many angels around that are just with their wings, they're just keeping you safe. As long as you are doing this without some personal interest, if you are doing this with open heart, I was sure that I was doing this with open heart, and that God saw it and He was protecting. Otherwise, that would happen. My neighbors received the bullets in their windows. My another neighbor received the missile inside the apartment, and we were even putting the fire down. Yes, in my block the missiles arrived,
Wow.
and it
Wow.
was there was smoke, and we were afraid that the whole house will burn out, and then the fire will switch to another house and another house. But we found the extinguishers, and somehow it dropped. So as long as you have inside your heart this the spirit that you want to be useful, I think God protects and uses you. This place where I stayed it was not safe. So at least I was trying to be useful. I was trying to work, but also for myself, I showed to myself that I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to die. If this is the time to die, this is the time to die. But it is my country, and this is the place where I can be useful. I can serve. There.
So, ADRA Ukraine is helping with evacuations and the psychosocial support or the trauma counseling. And you mentioned cash assistance for the IDPs. So, with that cash assistance, they're able to buy food that they need, or are they paying for rent? Are they buying hygiene supplies, sanitary supplies? What's the purpose of that cash?
Yeah, this is unconditional multi-purpose cash, so they can spend it as they want, and the needs are very different. And if people are lucky to have the access to the shops and or to the ATMs, they can withdraw it, or they can just use this in the shop and buy whatever they want. So this is the most human way, because we protect the dignity of the person.
Mm-hmm.
The person doesn't need to stay in the line with the
Mm-hmm.
hope to get the box, and then everybody sees you and you are
Right.
the needed person. But in this case, the person would receive the cash, that would see the money on their card, and then they can spend this. Yeah, this cash is good because it gives you the freedom, the person to spend it on, and it
Mm-hmm.
also still maintains and enables the local economy and local
Mm-hmm.
state, because the funds still are inserted into the economy, into the
Right.
system, and they are working inside out, other than outside. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we like this. And we hope to do the cash and as much as we can. If the banks would not work, if the banking system collapse, then yes, we would need to do the NFIs or bring in the goods across the border. So there is also this option to bring the goods and distribute them. So yeah, that's
That's the plan B.
the plan B. Yeah.
Yeah. Plan A is the cash. I think cash is marvelous because it's portable as well. If they have to run away again, they can bring that with them and they'll have it in their hand for their new location. And it can help them in their new location, right? And then, like you said, then the power is in their hands to get what they actually need. Can you tell us a little bit more about these buses that ADRA bought?
Yes, to me, in my humble view, this is beautiful buses, other buses. It is white, with the green logo. So these white buses are meant to take people out from the hot places, from the places like I just mentioned, and
Oh,
others, because
wonderful.
so many places are all over the country. As I
Mm-hmm.
said, the conflict is not in one place; it's
Mm-hmm.
different places all over the country. So these buses will take them out, and on the way back again to take new people, it will bring some still NFI and goods, because yes, like you said, the best is to take them out, but some people even can be taken out because maybe they are disabled, or maybe they are just very elderly, and any movement can just make them die. Like my grandmother, she was not mobile; she had to just stay, and also maybe some people have to stay. That's why we need to just also procure them with the goods.
Mm-hmm.
So those buses would bring something for them and take those that can and want out.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe you said it already, but how many buses are in this project?
10 buses.
10 buses. And how
10
many
buses.
people can fit on each bus?
15.
15. Okay. So 150 people with each convoy, if they all are
Yes.
going together, let's just say.
We were thinking to rent the buses, and for some
Mm-hmm.
buses we rented. But the prices for some buses would be one third or half of the cost of the whole bus. So we would think, okay, so we buy the bus, and then this bus belongs to organization, and it can make 1 to 10, 20 trips, other than
Mm-hmm.
you rent the bus, and the value of the bus is the 2 times trip value, for example, if you
Mm-hmm.
rent.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time that we bought those buses, and if this will be successful, I think I will advocate more to buy more buses. And
Mm-hmm.
with this aid, we can scale up the evacuation of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that if would ADRA have like 50 buses or 100 buses, and they are coming now, they will be here in half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be ready. And also, if we have in the bus some tea, and some maybe sandwich or some soup a bit, or porridge. When you lost so much, or when you lost almost everything, soup or cup of tea makes you so much happier. You
Mm-hmm.
still, you can feel that you are alive. Makes you want to continue to fight for this life.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about how ADRA and the church are working together? Is it just in the West? Is it across the country? Is it through the church facility itself, or do you mean through church members? And how is that working? And what are they doing together?
Yeah, we have very good relationship with church, and they are very interested to participate in our projects. So right now it's we had, even before the conflict started, we had that announcement in the churches through the pastors, and we said uh, from the news and from the security reports, we have we have alerts of the potential escalation of the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And if this would happen, we would need to be ready. And so that's why we want to know who among us is able to support or be this volunteer who will bring the food or water or host somebody or be the information manager or drive someone. So we created this database of people who would be able to be our supporter, our hands on the ground,
And
that's
that
how
was
we
before
work.
the conflict. Sorry, that was
Yeah.
you built that before, so you
Yes.
were
Yes,
looking ahead and just in
it's
case.
always a big advantage of ADRA because we have this incredible resource and our support church members and their mission or their desire to serve others and be useful. So they support us as the situation is developing and according to the needs that are on the ground. So where it's needed, they can make a soup kitchen and they can just cook for them. Others can wash the clothes or prepare the bedding and lining to press it so it is ready for them.
That's so organized. That's amazing. And wonderful that you guys were thinking ahead, like in case this happens, in case this becomes a big thing, especially as everything keeps changing so quickly. I remember you mentioned in a network call previously that you can make plans for something in a town and then an hour later the town isn't there anymore, right? And
Yeah.
so things are constantly changing, but it sounds like you have an amazing ADRA team and then a legion of ADRA volunteers.
Yes.
And that's wonderful to hear.
There is so much ready work to be done in this country now. So we realize that the damage that is done even so far, if this would stop even today, there is so much damage that, of course, the news cannot show everything because of security and because of the ongoing shelling. But the country is so much, damaged and ruined. But of course, the most important is the lives of people, and that's why we are focusing now, to save the lives.
I know I mentioned this before. I'm just going to say it again. There have been lots and lots of prayers for you, for all the ADRA staff and volunteers, and for everyone in Ukraine. And we're just going to keep right on praying. And I want to invite our listeners and our viewers, if your heart has been touched listening to Artem and his stories and about the work that ADRA Ukraine and the church are doing, I encourage you please to give so that this work can continue. ADRA Ukraine and the church need our support, so please give to ADRA Canada, and we will work and partner with ADRA Ukraine to make sure that the people who are most in need get the help that they need the most. And the way to do that is to visit adra.ca/Ukraine, or you can call our office at 1-888-274-2372. And I believe we'll have the banner at the bottom of the video as well for the website. So please prayerfully consider giving very generously to help ADRA Ukraine and the church to continue to meet the needs on the ground. Well, Artem, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us and to share with us your experience and what the needs are there and the amazing work that ADRA Ukraine and the church are doing there. It's really inspiring. It's encouraging to hear what's taking place, and I really hope that people will be moved to give, to support.
Thank you. And also I want this to be as also the opportunity for people to value and be thankful for what they have also, and appreciate that they have peaceful time and the opportunity to hug their family and beloved and see them, after the work or after the, on weekends, and be thankful to God for all that we have, because everything, there is saying that all what we have is not forever. Sometimes it stops, and it's good to appreciate and be thankful to God for everything that we have.
And to do what we can to bring it back to those who've lost it.
Yeah.